What is up, everyone? I've got a cool article right here, and I know you read it, and I read it, and we have a book.
We did, in fact, read it.
Yes, read it.
This is take 2 of our intro because when Jason and I went to talk about it, we both went dead behind the eyes.
Yeah, it was like
nothing ever happened.
We were squirrel braining before that. Like we had like 10 things going all at once, and then we didn't like calm ourselves and meditate and focus.
Yeah, we lacked our focus.
I think it was your shoes, bro.
Yeah, shout out to the kicks. Thanks, Nike.
Yeah, I love
Show
those.
everybody those.
Those are awesome. So upper limits and having this inner thermostat inside of ourselves that can't handle when it gets too hot.
Yeah. So let's describe the upper limit. This idea was coined by, what's the gentleman's name? PhD.
Yeah, his name is Gay Hendricks.
Yeah, Gay Hendricks. So Gay Hendricks came up with this idea that as we begin to push the upper limit, not to use that again, but the boundary of when things are going really well.
Success. Yes.
Yeah. Success, whether in an emotional state or in a physical state, we tend to let negative thoughts begin to creep in. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, it creates a form of self-sabotage.
Right.
Or those negative thoughts begin to bleed into what other people are saying. So we actually stop the flow of energy that would actually push through that upper limit, and we cause it to be a sort of like a resistance.
Yeah, Tom Bayou, a guy I listen to a lot, he calls them ants, a negative thought. So you can kind of like picture all these little ants, and like a ton
creeping
of
around.
Yeah. When somebody has a negative thought, what are thoughts? Before we get into the article, what are thoughts in creation?
Yeah, so thought. A thought is creation acting. So if you look at consciousness as a universal thing, which it is, we spurred out of a thought, a creational thought, right? And so if that thought has a vibrational frequency, sound before form, and so the thought generates a vibrational pattern, collects things together, and it's like, oh, now I'm starting to think about material things, what I can actually create. There's this infinite amount of creativity that sits behind it. So a thought itself is a form of creation creating.
Yeah, not a THOT.
No.
Thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
In all the rapper songs.
Yeah, exactly.
A THOUGHT.
THOUGHT.
Big difference.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. And there's great power behind that thought, right? And so the more you want to put energy and time and focus into a specific thought, you essentially begin to will that thing into fruition in your material life.
But I want people to understand is they are creating their own life. They are in their matrix creating what is coming. Just as a video game, when you're walking and the world begins to appear in front of you.
Correct.
That you're creating through your thoughts. You're creating that world.
You create that environment. So in a simple perceptive way, I have a thought that I want to go walk out of the studio.
Right.
I'm creating that environment and that action. That thought that I've had, I've put power behind it, and that wills me and my nervous system to then go move myself out of this room.
Right. It's like two people that want to get married. I mean, you recently got engaged. It's like that person wants to get married and this person wants to get married. So they will that. With their love together.
Correct.
But that love is a thought. It's an emotional. It's a thought and then an emotion.
It's that thought. It's that idea. It's that emotion. And we're both like, let's put our energy towards this thought and turn it into something that is a reality.
Right. And
nobody forces us to do that. We both independently had those creative thoughts. Important. And so we begin to create together. Right? And you do not force me out of the studio. No matter how much you scream at me, tell me you don't want me to be here, whatever it might be, you cannot physically get me out of here unless you throw me out.
Which happens daily.
But you cannot force me in my own will to move my legs and walk out of here.
Right. You're too tall.
That's my choice, my free will. My legs are heavy and long.
Yeah. It'd be hard to throw you out.
It would, because it's like trying to throw like a wet branch, like a tree branch, like it's soaked wood.
No, it'd be like trying to throw a tree.
Yeah,
not just a branch. Your arms and legs are branches, bro.
But the important thought is that through our thoughts, we will this world around us. So when we reach that upper limit and we begin to stop the flow of those positive thoughts, those positive energies, we begin to then will a world together that is negative, one that is resistant to that flow.
Yeah, and I want to get into the hidden barriers because this is really cool. Because there's going to be every single person has one of these. Maybe two of them, one of them, and I can share mine on this. But What he says here, and this is really, the fact that we unconsciously accept them as real is the barrier holding us back. We take them as real until we shine awareness on them.
Yeah. So
then the barrier dissolves and we are free.
Yeah. So these barriers are these false ideas, these false realities, these false negativities, these false blockers of energy that we have come up with in our thoughts that really aren't reality. And that's us, again, stopping that flow. But you have to shine light on it and see that what I've done is not truthful. What I've done really doesn't align with the flow of my own evolution and my true ego. So I'm going to stop it where it is. And that's what that is. You're creating that barrier. And so when he says you have to shine light on it, you know, that goes back a very long time throughout history, that idea of shining light, bringing luminescence, right?
Yes.
It's a function of bringing knowledge and awareness to something.
Yeah, all old ancient manuscripts talk about that. Jesus talks about that too in the scriptures, where he says, you know, it's like we're beings that are basically putting a hand over a candle.
Yeah.
You know, and then if we remove that, then we can have our light can penetrate darkness.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, you think about that light is that knowledge and wisdom. And knowledge and wisdom has force and power and might behind it. Not in the negative sense, but in the sense that that's true power in that truth. And when you let that glow, you can feel the radiant energy from it. But when we block that, it's like we're blocking life itself. So when we think about this upper limit and creating these false barriers through our thoughts, creating this negativity in our world and stopping that flow, we're stopping what it means to actually live.
Yes.
We're stopping these little events of microevolution that we have.
Yeah, we're stopping. We use a word here in our Western, you know, especially this culture of success. But what true success is you operating fully in your creational being, whoever and whatever you are. You know, we talked about art earlier.
Yeah.
You know, if you're an artist and you're making $30,000 a year and you're at home and you're just creating art and you're loving it, that's success for you.
That is success for you, because it's not the material gain.
Right.
It's that you found a truth within yourself and you live by that truth.
Right.
And lucky for you, you get the material benefit of, you know, capital that comes with it, but you're following through on that evolutionary approach of understanding what the true I is inside.
Yeah. And if somebody owns a farm and that's what they're doing and they're working on their farm and they're out every day and they're enjoying it and they're creating and being a part of, then, you know, and they're in nature constantly, then that's success.
That is success.
Yeah, people have this view,
Well,
and it's unfortunate with social media, but go ahead.
That's a successful choice.
Yes.
You know, success is like a state. You're in a state of success, but you make successful choices that lead you to that point.
Right.
So if I constantly make small choices that are positive, right?
Right.
Small choices that, you know, keep me in a state of balance. These are successful steps that lead me to a grand success.
Yeah, but we've been bamboozled. You like that word?
I like bamboozled.
We've been bamboozled, especially with not only with social media, but with the marketing that is out there of you're not going to have success until you have ...
Oh yeah, especially this like.
So we're never in the state of contentment.
No, it's this like followers.
Yes.
They don't put a limit on the followers. You know, it's not like, okay, that's it. You know, you got 5,000. No, they're like, how many can you get? Keep pushing it up, but you can only follow a certain amount of people.
Yes.
So it's already the diametric opposition of value that is designed in social media forces you into a state of false ego and like these false ideas of what success actually is.
Yeah, where you take some of the smartest people in the world, they don't have even equivalent to the followers that Taylor Swift, Kanye, and Kim Kardashian. And
think about how even some intelligent people, how bummed out they get when they can't get followers.
Yes, exactly.
Like, why is that of any strict importance? Remember, the truth is always unfashionable.
That's what I like about Russia. Russia takes their scientists and makes them kind of celebrities. Like they're very engineers and scientists are very important.
They absolutely do, especially in the period of the space race.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, first of all, they had a guy who was essentially a criminal.
I love this already.
And the general idea is, from an espionage point, we don't want anyone to know who's leading our space program because we don't want him to get killed. But when they did release it, they found out that this guy was like a bad dude, but he was extremely intelligent and very good at executing on things and executing in both ways. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, it's
he was willing to execute in the gray areas.
Yeah, he executes in all gray areas. But the it's interesting how Russia likes to effectuate, you know, and really champion, you know, scientific logical thought. Just the way their language and their delivery is, you know, it has a good set of rationale to it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just think, you know, because I was listening to a Russian scientist and he lives in America. You know, he
I literally have Einstein on my socks.
Oh, this is
I didn't
so
even
awesome.
realize that until you said, go ahead. Yeah.
And he was talking about that, you know, how the scientists, like, you know, if they make a discovery or there's something really big, it's all over the news, like huge and all over their social media. And it's just a big deal. It's prestigious.
Yeah, it is. It is quite prestigious.
And I wish we had more of that here.
They have a deeper respect, but our respect is for celebrities and deep materialism.
Yes.
Less so much of the intellectual capacity of someone to, you know, say, this is the task. Look at what we solved. This is fantastic. You know, and that's kind of missed, but we have this like everything we do, even in a social sense, has that upper limit.
Why do, because I know this will be important for people to understand this. Why do people feel the need, especially on social media, you'll see this on TikTok, Instagram, you know, all of them, where they'll even go find somebody's Lamborghini that's in California and then pretend like it's theirs.
Oh, and like pose with it and stuff
and
like
then
that?
they'll go into a real estate house, you know.
Because for so long we've built up this idea, and I don't even like the term American dream. It's not my dream.
No.
You know, it's this economical, it's this dream of economics is really what it is. But
it's people think this is new because all we do is put new shit in front of it. Like today it's a Louis Vuitton purse and Lamborghini and a big house. Tomorrow it could be some other new brand.
You know, the white picket fence is now the Lamborghini.
Yes.
And it's funny. It's like if you don't...
You're getting bamboozled by the American dream.
Right. And if you're not getting a picture in front of the Lamborghini, you're not worth anything online.
Why are people getting their self-worth by that?
Their self-worth is somebody looked at my photo for 5 seconds. Maybe I got a comment on it. Maybe someone liked it. Why is it that I have to find value in what other people like? Why can't I just enjoy what I enjoy? Mm-hmm. Why do I need this like validation from a social level if something is the correct way for me to act? And then what you find is that these likes and the sharing and the comments and the photos start to determine the angle you take on your life, but it starts to deviate from who you truly are. So now you start to live a life that really isn't you because you're only in the business of pleasing others and what they want. But you start to forget about what you truly want. So your upper limit then becomes a deflection of your ego.
Yes.
You're deflecting what you truly want just to follow others because it's giving you this false sense of identity.
Yeah, and so you're basically living a lie, and you'll never have true success because you're being fake.
Yeah, and you'll have a very hard time being truthful to yourself because all of your thoughts that you're creating and willing into your world are ones of a false reality.
Yeah, and this leads us, thank you, the false reality.
No problem.
Of these hidden barriers to our upper limit. So first one is feeling fundamentally flawed.
Yeah.
The belief that one is fundamentally flawed in some ways is an immense barrier to optimal experience, and it brings with it a related fear. If you did make a commitment to fully using your unique gifts, you might fail. This belief tells you to play it safe and stay small. That way, if you fall, at least you fall small.
Yeah, you take like a little bit. I'm only taking a tiny bit of risk.
Right.
I won't do things that are truly what I need to be doing. Let's give an easy example on this. Math. I'm not smart enough for that. I couldn't possibly learn math. My brain doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? You got some special sort of brain that can't work that way? What you've done is you've already created this world, this false barrier saying that I'm not good enough to go and learn how to do more advanced math beyond the elementary math that I currently do right now.
Why don't people say I'm not interested in that?
Well, I'm not interested in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So let me hit you with one because you hit me yesterday. I have been studying German.
Right. Oh, I did. Yeah.
After I studied Hebrew, and you said, I don't have the brain for that. I don't have the capacity for it.
Yes. Yeah.
You said, I don't have the capacity, Alex. You have a photographic memory. I just don't have that capacity. You created some false sort of negative thought or idea in your head.
I thought about that last night.
You're just like, I've made myself lesser in an intellectual sense that I can't go and learn something.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Because we can learn anything. And maybe I need to learn in a pictorial way.
Yeah.
But I could still learn Now I may have to double down and go learn because I don't have a photographic memory. But if I had a desire to learn German,
Sure.
I could.
Yeah, listen, absolutely you could.
It's just your
response
yes.
was this automatic response you've been doing your entire life.
Yes.
And whether it's you see someone do a visual activity,
right,
or somebody is doing something intellectual, and I could not a chance I could do that. What are you talking about? Or I'm not good enough.
Right.
Right? I don't, I'm not comfortable enough with myself. You're already creating these false ideologies, these false dogmas that you're living by, these belief structures curated by you that have no truth behind them.
Because I guarantee you, if I was serious about learning German, I would move to Germany.
Yeah.
And then I would be in that language constantly. So obviously you're going to pick it up just by being in the language. And then if I'm spending, an hour or two a day studying it online and I'm living there,
yeah, I
guarantee you within a year, I could understand German.
Yeah, because you involve yourself in it. You have now created the will behind your thoughts. Mm-hmm. There's that power, that might that sits in your thoughts. You're willing that creational energy to be like, I want to evolve into this. And you're pushing yourself towards that. But you stopped your own evolution by saying, I'm not worthy.
But I think it's important because we need to say, I'm not interested in this.
Yeah,
I don't want to take my power or my creation and throw it into this because I really have no desire to learn German. That would have been a better response.
That's a much better
honest response. And my energy is, I want to take my energy and go in this direction.
Yeah.
On the things that I enjoy learning.
That's exactly
right. Right now in my life, if I was forced to learn German, I wouldn't want to. But that's just a choice.
No,
it's
a
choice.
Yeah, of course it is.
It's not that I can't learn it.
Yeah,
it's a choice.
I know internally with me, this is something that is beneficial to my own growth. Like when I went to go learn languages. So in high school, the first language I took was Mandarin. And I thought to myself, man, this is hard. I am never going to be able to learn this.
Right.
Failed the class. I failed it gloriously. And then after that, I thought to myself, I just don't have the capacity to learn a language. And then it took so many years for me to think, it took years for me to come to the conclusion that I'm like, what am I talking about? Mm-hmm. I absolutely can learn this. This is just me putting up some sort of barrier to say, I can't learn it.
Yeah. And then that's you becoming self-aware enough and recognizing and saying,
and that was the key. I had to become self-aware. I had to shine light.
Right.
I had to take my hand off of the candle so that I could feel that glow, that warmth, that luminescence, that knowledge. And then when I put it into practical experience, my awareness that I realized, it became a piece of wisdom.
Yes.
And that allowed me to take on learning Hebrew, new alphabets, moving over to German, right? I wanted to learn more about math. I hired myself a tutor. I just wanted to continue to go deeper. Like if you want to learn, you have to put in the effort and go do it. But if you start to put these barriers up, you'll either never start, or when you do start, you're going to lack a lot of that will and that power behind those thoughts to continue to bring that thing to fruition.
Yeah. And I think it's always having this learning mindset, like write down what you want to learn and then just go in that direction. Like right now I'm learning about World War II. I just want to know more about how we got there. What were all these leaders thinking? Yep. What caused this and then, the economical impacts of it, understanding countries without getting too boring. Then I want to know what happened to the United States after. That's where the American dream really hit with the suburban and all that. But I want to understand the leadership's mindset in each of these countries, whether they were perceived as negative or positive.
Whether they're fascist, socialist, communist, or
capitalist, whatever it may be.
Fascist capitalist.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. So feeling fundamentally flawed is hidden barrier number 1. Hidden barrier number 2 is disloyalty and abandonment. This barrier is a feeling that I cannot expand to my full success because it would cause me to end up all alone, be disloyal to my roots, and leave behind people from the past. So here he said, here are 2 questions that can help you discover if you have this barrier. Did I break my family's spoken or unspoken rules to get where I am? Did I fail to meet the expectations my parents had of me?
Well, here's the thing. You are living your life by somebody else's expectations.
Yes.
You're living your life in the lens of how your parents have defined how you should act, walk, talk, and be. That's not you. That's just saying, I'm trying to be something that my parents defined was the right thing.
Yeah.
But maybe that right thing is not for me.
Right. I was watching a video from someone the other day, and they were having, and this is so disheartening, they were trying to figure out how they could go to their parents and say that they were gay.
Sure.
and it's just this internal struggle. And I'm thinking, like, for myself with my children, I honestly 110%, no judgment, don't care. If one of my kids came to me, I'd be like, well, that's great.
Listen, if
so
that's
your
how you want to be,
sexual preference, perfect.
You do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
But it's not for me to sit here and say, this is how you should be as a person.
But there are children, kids, teenagers, young adults that are listening to this.
Yeah.
And they're struggling with things because they're putting their parents first in their life.
Yeah.
But how successful is your parents? How conscious are they?
Pay attention to their choices.
Yes.
We haven't, and I've said this before, we as human beings do a poor job of looking back at our choices. We do a poor job of looking at the chain of cause and effect.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start to reflect on their choices and then your choices, you're like, this is interesting. Do I make the same ones they made? Do I live by their lens of what they think reality or a human being should act like? But look at where they are and how they currently think.
And if you strip everything away, what obligation do you have to your parents?
Well, you have no obligation. The second you're born, you're a person of your own person.
Yes.
It is nice that we are fostered and cared for by our parents.
But you don't need to be 27 and fostered and cared from your mom guy.
No,
and he's still living with mom.
Yeah, no, you got to
hanging out on Xbox and mom's making you dinner.
You got to cut that umbilical cord, and you have to learn to find responsibility for yourself.
Yes.
And it's not about them. It's not about their life. This is about your life and your evolution. I'm not telling you just, break ties with people. Don't talk to them ever again. But what I'm saying is you need to begin to respect yourself, respect the environment, and start to look at the choices you've been making and the choices other people have been making.
If you set your parents down and said, I'm gay, I'm an artist, I don't want to go do this MBA anymore, I want to go to this art school in New York or whatever, and you were logical, and you could explain the reasons why you're doing that, not get emotional or defensive, because that's ego.
Yeah.
If you could, not have, and come from the spirit, and they may disagree, they may squawk about it, but I guarantee you, if they're a good-hearted person, which most parents are,
right,
I would say, they're going to, over time, they may be a little stubborn, but over time, they're going to see you lighten up.
Yeah, people.
They're going to see the change in you. But the problem, and I want everyone to hear this, especially everybody that listens on TikTok, and a lot of you are younger. I mean, we're older. I'm a lot older than you are. Mm-hmm. But this is really, really important. When you come in this defensive posture, whether it's a boss, a leader that you're having to work with, and you're coming like, I want this. This is me. I'm a spoiled brat. I need this. If you don't accept this, then I'm going to leave. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, why are you coming out with a threat?
Yes, exactly. That's not the spirit.
No, that's not the spirit. And first of all, if it's something you want and you're not getting it, you put yourself in the wrong place in the first place. You didn't think through the position that you've put yourself into.
Yes.
You truly did not think it through. Did you?
So you're making one of the biggest decisions in your life, and you're coming at it with defensive and pure emotion. So I want to tie this back. So you have all these ants, these negative thoughts coming through you. You're perceiving your parents to be an enemy.
Yeah.
And then you want to sit them down and blow up at them at a restaurant.
Yeah. And
that was all totally
that's just not what you want to do. And most people, if you really think through your thoughts and what you want and who you are, you found the logic and rationale behind where you need to go for your own evolution, whether that might be art school and leaving the MBA program. And you share that with your parents, it may upset them. Truth upsets people.
Yes.
Again, I'm going to say it again. Truth is always unfashionable.
Yes.
But if they don't see it and they act emotionally, go do your choice. Go do what you need to do. Because if they come back without a sense of logic, they may not see it right now and they may see it later, but now it's time for you to go make that choice because you've thought it through. You've used that logic and that rationale. And if you're not receiving that in that conversation, without being defensive, or they continue to be defensive, well, then now it's time for you to go make your choice.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey, great actor, he was talking about this with his parents, and his parents kind of wanted him. He went into film, so his parents were kind of like, well, you should be a lawyer or something like that. You know how the perceived. And so then his dad was kind of like, and then he's like, well, maybe you should do something like producing movies, because then you'll have a constant flow of income.
It's always that idea of
safe.
Income.
Yeah.
Right?
You'll be safe in income.
What is safe? Like you're preserving this false idea of what life is. Mm-hmm. Is it safety of a fake life?
Yes.
Right? Like how can I hold together this false identity of me? What can I do to not risk what I've built up that is so...
I'm 65 and retired.
And it's so fragile because it has no foundational truth to it.
No.
That's why you don't take those risks. I take risks all the time.
Yeah, you have to.
So much. Not because I enjoy taking risks,
Right.
but because I know who I am and I know it is the right thing to do. That's the difference when you know who you are. It's no longer perceived as a risk.
Yes.
You just know deep down at your core, this is my goal, this is my mission, this is what I feel needs to happen, and I'm going to will it to go happen.
Yes, exactly. And I know there's a lot of young people that are listening to this, and I think this is really important, this upper limit, because you may have gone out and done protesting and did all that, and that's great. We have that ability here, and I think everyone should go.
I love protesting.
Yeah.
Protesting is better than rioting.
Yes, of course, 100%.
Yeah, they're two different things. I want to make
And
that
maybe
clear.
when you were out there, you felt passionate about it, and you're like, I want to get into the not-for-profit sector. I want to be able to help people out.
Mm-hmm.
And then now there's this whole, I felt that, and I was all excited. It's like when you go to an EDM concert. You know how pumped you get? And then the music, dude, you're at like a 10.
Oh,
and then the next day
10.
you come back.
I'm way past where I should be. And then my whoop band's like, you got to calm the heart down.
And so then, the next day or a few days after, you're like, oh, I remember that. That was so cool, and then you're like depressed or feeling shitty. It's the same with, whatever you do when you feel passion and when you feel alive. And you begin to be authentic and truth begins to permeate you.
Yeah.
Because that music is just a collective truth. But how do you maintain that day by day by day?
That's the thing. There are ideas that I need to go back in the material world and be in that environment
and
again.
then they're just chasing it. I'll go to the next concert.
I'll go to the next concert. Rather than, let me think about how that made me feel and how can I continue to carry that through in everything I do with my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, it's the same thing with meditation. Like when you're doing meditation, you don't want to hop out of it immediately. You want to slowly begin to phase out of the meditation and then bring that into the awareness of all the normal things you do throughout the day. So essentially, you're constantly moving and doing the things you do in that meditative state. People are like, oh, meditated, 10 minutes, done, bye, see you later. That's not what it is.
Right.
It's about taking that energy and continuing to have that bridge of the deep conscious state into the waking conscious state.
I love that. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So we're going to do part 2 of this.
Yeah.
And we'll get into the other, I think this upper limit bear is really cool. I think it'll help a lot of people out because I want to kind of dive into the other ones pretty heavily. And then we'll make a synopsis of how each of those break into their lives specifically.
Yes, doctor.
You like that word synopsis?
Yeah. Or it's, it's the arts.
What is that?
It means, he's a doctor.
Oh, no. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Hopefully someone will give me one day.
Yeah.
I'll just be an honorary. Those are the best.
I'd like to be an honorary doctor. Feed my ego.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? All right. We'll be back for
it.
part 2.